Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to give my very early thoughts on what I think the best weapons are to use, keep hitting my microphone, in the new game mode in the finals, which is the Terminal Attack game mode, the 5v5 kind of Rainbow Six CSGO type game mode. This is basically going to be going through the best loadouts to use in it. And I'm going to do one for light, one for medium, and one for heavy. So we're going to start off with medium. So there's going to be a lot of choice. There's not going to be any weapon that's like, oh, this is definitely the weapon that you should be using, really. It's more so going to be to do with the specializations and the gadgets, but there's going to be like a lot of choice. There's no like set meta for this, really. There's nothing that's like absolutely amazing, but you do have lots of things that are going to be better than others. So for the specialization, no point using the healing beam because you can't heal. So, well, at least it says you can't heal. I haven't actually tried this, but I would assume that you can't heal someone with a healing beam since there's no healing in the game mode. So that leaves you with either the Guardian Turret or the Dematerializer, and this is really just preference. If you're defending, then, like, yeah, you can go with the Guardian Turret, but it really just isn't the best. If someone knows that it's there, then they're probably just going to avoid it in this game mode, especially because they know that they don't have much health and they can't regenerate health so much. So for that reason, I would probably just go with the Dematerializer. But since the healing beam isn't there, you can also go with the turret. Like the turret, in past videos, I've said the turret isn't fantastic, but that's because the healing beam is so much better, like than either of them, than the Guardian Turret or the Dematerializer. But since you can't really use the healing beam in this game mode, then Guardian Turret or Dematerializer, it's kind of just up to you. If you want to play like more defensively, you can go with the turret, and if you like being creative and all that kind of stuff, then you can go with the Dematerializer. Also, there's going to be some sorts of synergy, right? So if you're running the turret, then you're also probably going to be running like the APS, then maybe you're going to run some mines as well, and that would be like a very, very defensive setup. And if you're running the Dematerializer, then you're probably just going to go like all out on grenades and stuff like that. So it is up to you. But if you go with the turret, then your loadout's going to look something like, I don't know, something like that. You got the Guardian Turret, APS turret, and then the explosive mine, and that's probably going to be something like your setup, and then maybe, I don't know, just some frag grenades. And then if you're running the Dematerializer, it's probably going to be just more so something like this. So you've got frag grenades, gas grenades, and pyro grenades, and that's just so you can yeet stuff into places and try and get some damage done, which is going to be valuable because the enemies can only heal so much, right? As for the, and also, like, these are limited, so you only have 2 frag grenades, you've only got 1 gas grenade, you've only got 1 pyro grenade, you know, so you gotta watch out. And for that reason, jump pad and zipline really aren't going to do a whole lot because you can only use them once, so there's not going to be so much point to bringing those in. Same with the defib, and same with the data reshaper. Like, all of that stuff gonna get very, very limited use from. Even the goo grenade, which is normally okay, probably not going to be so useful. And the flashbang, just please don't use that. So then you're left with like normal grenades and a couple of mines. Again, if you want to play defensively and you want to run that turret setup, you can go with like glitch trap, gas mine, explosive mine if you really, really want to. And if you're running the Dematerializer, then I would say just go with frag grenade, pyro grenade, and gas grenade. And that would pretty much be it, because then you've got like just more stuff to throw into places and try and get some damage done. As for the weapons are going to be pretty similar to what they would normally be. I'd say if you're good with a Model 1887, if you can hit shots with this thing, this is going to be quite good because you can just like dip out of cover, get a shot off, and then dip back into cover, and that's going to be very, very good, especially if you're not taking much damage yourself, because this thing 3 shots heavies, right? 2 shots lights, 2 shots mediums, 3 shots heavies. It's very, very powerful, and if people are already low when you're shooting at them, they're going to die real quick. So that's going to be very, very powerful. If you can aim with it, it is quite difficult to be precise with it. Then if you don't really mind standing out of cover for too long and all that, you can go with the FCAR or the AKM. And as usual, I just stay away from the FAMAS. CL40 surprisingly might be okay in this game mode, because you can just like lob grenades in and just try and stay a little bit far back and just try and hope for some splash damage. The reason this isn't normally good is because it's very hard to like get damage done and then also finish off the enemy. Then they get defib and then you have to kill them again, and that's like really, really rough to do when this is 4 bullets in the mag. But getting any sort of damage on the enemies in this game mode is very, very powerful. So the CL40 is like, okay, you could use this thing in this game mode and not be throwing. You could be alright with the CL40 in this. And also revolver you can use as well. But you just gotta be like pretty good at aiming with it. So yeah, I go with Model 1887, AKM, FCAR, can go with the revolver if you're good, and then you can use the CL40 if you're confident with that as well. And I'd stay away from the FAMAS and the Riot Shield, really, because the FAMAS, like AKM and FCAR, are just superior, really, and the Riot Shields, you gotta get up close and personal to lights that are probably going to be zooming around the place, and heavies that might have sledgehammers and all that, so I'd stay away from that entirely. But that's going to be it for the medium, really. And then we're going to move on to the heavy. So, yeah, so Mesh Shield you should be using if you have someone you're playing with. If you're playing with, well, like, one teammate, and you know, you're like talking with them on comms and stuff, then I'd go with the Mesh Shield. If not, I just leave it, because there's no guarantee someone's going to see you mesh shielding on your team and have the wits to get behind the shield, you know? Like, people in ranked don't have the wits to get behind the mesh shield, and this is like a casual game mode. There's probably not going to be so much skill-based matchmaking, so I think it's just a risk, really, using this. And obviously, when you use it, you can't be shooting. That's damage you can't be getting done. So I would just go with the Charge and Slam, because this does a bunch of damage. You can, like, take people out real quick with this, or the Goo Gun. But if you're playing solo, I would stay away from the Mesh Shield. And if you aren't playing solo, then, well, you can use it if you want. If you've got a coordinated team, Mesh Shield's always going to be, like, very, very good choice. But yeah, Charge and Slam or Goo Gun are both going to be completely fine. Charge and Slam, I think, is probably going to be best in this game mode, though, just because it's going to do a whole lot of damage to enemies. But again, there is some synergy. If you're using the Goo Gun, then maybe you'd want to be using like the Flamethrower or the Sledgehammer or something that pairs well with that, just to maximize its effectiveness. But if not, Charge and Slam is all round like a pretty solid choice in general. Now, as for the weapon, I would stay away from the Flamethrower, and that's because it just doesn't really do enough damage in the quickest amount of time. So whenever you're shooting at people with this thing, you're going to be very open yourself, and you might just get killed by someone you don't see, right? So I would stay away from this, and I would also stay away from the SA-1216, just not a fantastic weapon in general. It kind of got nerfed into the ground recently, so it's not going to be so fantastic anymore. KS-23 is probably going to be a pretty good pick, if you can aim it. If you can't aim it, just leave it. And if you can aim this thing, if you are like some master with the KS-23, I think this is probably going to be a very, very good weapon to use in this game mode. Apart from that, I'd stay away from the Sledgehammer. You know, it just doesn't have any range. You can try and use it, but I think you're probably just going to get kills more than getting kills with it. It's always hard to use, especially when lights can just zoom around the place and stuff like that. And if you get stunned, I think there isn't so much you can do. Well, maybe not anymore, actually, because that got nerfed. But yeah, Lewis Gun, M60, both going to be pretty solid picks. And again, the MGL32, which is something I wouldn't normally recommend, is going to be very okay to use in this game mode. If you're like far back, you can just lob these things into wherever the enemies are, get a good bit of damage in, and they can't heal unless they're already low. But if they're already low, you might just get the finish, right? So MGL32 in this game mode is going to be very, very okay to use as well. Now, for the gadgets, you want to keep the RPG on. RPG is like very, very good still. It's just does like instant damage very, very quickly. And if you're running the RPG, you might want to stack that with some like frag grenades just for some more blowy uppy stuff. I like the Dome Shield in this game mode, even though you only have one. I do like the Dome Shield. If you use it at the right time, I think it can be quite valuable. But again, this is where the choice comes into play. If you're defending, you can also go for C4. If someone's low and they're trying to steal the thing, and you blow this up, you maybe might get a kill. Or you could just run mines. It's kind of up to... whatever you want on this third slot, I think it's kind of up to you. Even the frag grenades you don't have to have on. So there's a lot of choice here. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could go with a motion sensor. I would stay away from the anti-gravity cube. That's not going to offer a whole lot. And in general, mines are pretty inconsistent. Sometimes you can straight just jump over them and not get blown up. And sometimes you'll be quite far from them and they'll just blow up. Or sometimes someone will shoot them or something and they'll blow up. So mines are pretty inconsistent. So I would in general stay away from those, but it's up to you. Whatever you want here is kind of up to you. Barricade's not going to offer so much, though, because, you know, if it gets destroyed, you can't place more of them. So, I'd stay away from those. And, yeah, can you reload the RPG in this game mode, or do you only get one shot? You might be able to reload it, actually. That's interesting. I genuinely don't know the answer to that, so someone feel free to let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, whatever you want on the third and fourth slot really is up to you, but I would keep the RPG on, and I've talked about the weapons already, so we are going to go on to light now. So, got the grappling hook, cloaking device, or evasive dash. I just go with the evasive dash. Cloaking device was nerfed in the patch before the most recent one, and also in the most recent one, so it's like going to be pretty rough to use. You're going to be easier to spot, and it's going to be harder to maintain how long you're invisible for, because the activation cost is higher as well. So Cloaking Device, I think you're going to have a rough time using. Grappling Hook just really isn't going to be that fantastic. Evasive Dash is just better, so I would just go with that. If you're playing light, I would just go with Evasive Dash and try and get good with it if you can. Now for the weapon, I would recommend the XP54. Right now, this is just the best weapon in the game. It's like the easiest weapon that does like a fair amount of damage. There's no crazy visual recoil or crazy super hard to control recoil pattern. It's just an all-round very, very solid, easy to use weapon. So I would just go with the XP54. But of course you can go with a couple of things here. LH1, if you can name it, would be very, very good. If you're good with the SH1900, this thing would be insane in this game mode. Be really, really, really powerful in this game mode if you can handle it. M11, also like a good alternative to the XP54. And then everything else is going to be like, if you could use it, go for it. If not, just stay away from it. So that's going to be the sniper, the dagger, the sword, the throwing knives, and the 9.3R. But even the 9.3R, I think, actually isn't fantastic. So probably just use the XP54 instead. And I'd stay away from the V9S too. XP54 M11 is probably just going to be better. As for the gadgets, the light does have access to sonar grenades, which I think in this game mode might actually be kind of useful. You do only have 2 of them, but you know, if someone's at a cash out and they've just put the key in and you want to pop one of these things to see where they all are, that might actually be somewhat useful. Similarly, like the stun gun got really, really heavily nerfed in this patch, but if you want to, you can pop it on, and if someone starts like stealing, it's not called a cash out, stealing the terminal, then you can stun them and then just try and get out of the fight. It's not going to do a whole lot, but it will do something. So I can't believe it's come to this, but I would stay away from the stun gun in general, because it's only got one like extremely situational use case scenario. Well, 2. The other use case situation is like you stun them, no one else is around, and then you can just like shoot at them and hope you shoot them faster than they shoot you, because now they can turn around and shoot you back. But I think a general stun gun's probably going to be something to stay away from now. So I would put sonar grenades on, and then I would just go for like frag grenades and pyro grenades or like gas grenades. You can run thermal vision if you want. You could run breach charge if you want. That's not going to be so bad for like a little bit of defense or something. Then the rest is going to be the same. Like, you can run glitch grenades as well. But I stay away from flashbangs, goo grenades, smoke grenades, gateways, and the tracking dart. And probably the vanishing bomb as well, because how visible you are got nerfed on this thing as well as the cloaking device. So you're a little bit more visible now, so someone might just be able to start shooting at you. Even if they don't hear the audio. Even if you're quite far, someone might still just see you and just start shooting at you. And in a game mode where you don't have a whole lot of health, then that's probably not going to be a great situation. So the only thing different here from like the medium, I think, is the sonar grenades, and then just go with frag grenades and pyro grenades. So all in all, I think grenades in this game are pretty good, and if you want to play more defensively, like mines and C4 and stuff like that is going to be pretty good. But the weapons are a little bit different. Like explodey weapons are probably going to be quite good, like the CL40 and the MGL32, probably going to be quite viable in this game mode. And the SH1900 would probably be like the best weapon to use in this game mode if you were able to control it, because it just does so much damage in a really short amount of time. But you can like evasive dash in, shoot someone twice with this thing, then get out. You're just going to wipe the entire team really, really quickly. But that's very, very hard to do. So that's like the balancing of the weapon. But yeah, just wanted to offer some advice, what I've been using for the new game mode. And that is pretty much it. So thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to be it for this video. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Farewell.